There's something about bread. The sound, the patience, the way it pulls people to a table. Pulls them here. Mill fire baking. For owner Tim Currie, it almost didn't happen.
I mean, since I started baking bread, I just couldn't get the bread idea out of my head. It's what I was doing all the time.
Before this, Tim thought he found his career in academia. He spent more than a decade teaching, chasing a PhD, chasing purpose.
I love teaching and learning. So when I came to the US, I went to academia, and I honestly thought I was going to teach. I thought I'd found my passion.
But something felt off. It was work that paid the bills, but at the same time, it was crushing his soul.
What I was doing before, I was just so miserable. It wasn't filling my heart.
Then came a birthday gift, a book, Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast.
When she gave me flour, water, salt, yeast, it wasn't like I was struck by lightning, like, oh my God. I was like, oh, that's quaint. That looks fun. Maybe I'll give that a whirl.
But within a week, he had a sourdough starter going.
I'm a recovering academic, if you will. I couldn't not read it and kind of fall in love with the systems and the processes.
The bread blew his mind, but what hooked him wasn't the science. It was the connection.
Making and sharing food is probably one of the most intimate things we do.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
He remembers a mom walking out of his bakery, tearing off a piece of fresh bread, feeding it to her child.
I'm like, if I'm part of that, then I'm doing something okay.
By 2020, he decided to go all in. As the world shut down, everyone became a sourdough baker. Tim pivoted, worked for others, learned ovens, learned scale. And then the farmer's market.
That was the show. That was the show. There's a certain intimacy and kind of like, it's almost like the carnival going to a farmer's market, and I was happy to be a part of it.
The hook was almost instant, but scaling the business came with growing pains. At the end of 2023, his rent jumped sixfold. The bakery closed for Christmas.
Then I effectively went out of business, and I was done. I really was, heartbroken and I think I'm done.
Tim was ready to tap out.
Just watching him as his wife, I knew that there was just something in him that was just kind of ready to get emotional to move forward. More than anything, I just wanted to support him. I was just like, I'm up for the ride. Let's do this journey.
With his wife's support, he was determined to carry on. Friends told him to ask for help. So he did, starting a GoFundMe, and then something unexpected happened.
People that believed, I think, in me, what we were trying to do more than I did at the time, kind of put us back on the map. Ponied up a lot of money.
Equipment showed up, a new space, a second chance.
I was elated, I was scared, it was a lot of responsibility, but more so I was just deeply grateful. We wouldn't be here if not for the kindness of others.
Now, Millfire mills hundreds of pounds of grain in-house. Local flour, long fermentation, whole grains. Tim says if he wouldn't feed it to his wife or his mom, he won't feed it to you.
We're good enough, we could be on every shelf, but I'd rather be, at your Sunday dinner.
And then comes the moment that feels almost scripted. Dinner at Ken's Artisan Pizza. Tim's at the bar with his wife. He looks up and there it is. Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast by Ken Forkish. Ken's Pizza. The book that changed his life. And a simple conversation that night turned into a full circle moment. Within weeks, Tim was supplying Ken's Pizza with the bread they serve at their Bend location.
It was like I was like a kid in a candy shop. It was like Christmas morning. I don't really go out of my way to look for a lot of wholesale things, and I kind of do what I do, how we do it, and they're on board. So, I love the place. And pizza, who doesn't love pizza?
He's the accidental baker, the questionable businessman, the community-centered craftsman.
Thank you.
Just ask the people who work beside him what this place is really about.
All I ever really want in life is community, and that's his main goal.
Tim says every loaf is an honor.
Anyone that's willing to take the bread that we make and feed it to those they love, thanks. It's both an honor and a privilege to be at your table.
Because in the end, this was never just about flour and water. It was about a seat at the table. And in Bend, the community made sure he kept his.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peyton Thomas, for People You Should Know.